Eritrean President Isaias Afwerki calls on Saudi Arabia to be more involved in regional affairs. Eritrean President Isaias Afwerki has called on Saudi Arabia to increase its involvement in regional issues, such as the Nile Basin and the Red Sea, and make a significant contribution to regional peace. Saudi Arabia has also reportedly announced that it will send a delegation to Eritrea to hold consultations on these critical regional issues. President Isaias, who is in Riyadh for a 4-day working visit, made this request during a meeting with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman on Wednesday, December 10, 2025, Eritrean Information Minister Yamen Gebremeskel announced. Isaias, it was reported that he traveled to Saudi Arabia on Tuesday at the invitation of King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud. The Minister of Information mentioned that he will hold meetings with senior Saudi government officials in Riyadh. According to information shared by the Minister of Information on his X page on Wednesday, Isaias attended the Al Yamma Palace and held an extensive conversation with the Saudi Crown Prince. He noted that the two leaders' talks focused on bilateral relations and other issues of vital interest to the two countries. He also mentioned that the two leaders' discussion, which was described as warm, was based on the historical and brotherly relations between the two countries. The two countries were said to be proud of the hope and opportunity to expand their bilateral relations in economic cooperation. President Isaias and Crown Prince Mohammed discussed regional issues, focusing on exchange of views on current developments, Maine said in a statement. The regional issues mentioned are the Nile Basin, the Horn of Africa, the Red Sea, and the Arabian Gulf. The Minister of Information wrote in his message, the two sides discussed the appropriate role of Saudi Arabia in all these regional issues. President Isaias is said to have noted that Saudi Arabia has not played an active role in these issues in the past. The president explained the point he made by saying, he emphasized that sustainable regional peace is a necessary prerequisite for sustained economic growth. President Isaias added, he called on Saudi Arabia to play a major role in promoting peace and stability in the wider region, and in particular in our neighbors. The Minister of Information also mentioned that Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who was asked this question, said that he would send his delegation to Eritrea soon. The Crown Prince was quoted as saying that the delegation traveling to Eritrea will hold in-depth consultations on critical regional issues raised by President Isaias. In recent months, reports have emerged indicating that Eritrea is interested in jointly developing the Assab port, which Ethiopia has claimed with Saudi Arabia. President Isaias Afwerki's third foreign trip in 2 months to Saudi Arabia comes amid ongoing tensions between Ethiopia and Eritrea, which has good relations with Riyadh's rival, the United Arab Emirates. Relations between Addis Ababa and Asmara, which have been strained since the Pretoria Agreement that ended the bloody Tigray War, have become even more tense following the government of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's expressed desire to gain a seaport on the Red Sea. Prime Minister Abiy, who describes the seaport as an existential issue for Ethiopia, is remembered for saying that the mistake made in the Red Sea will be corrected. Foreign Minister Dr. Gideon Timothy, for his part, stated at a forum held last November that the Assab port is a top priority for the Ethiopian government. Eritrea, which has been describing Ethiopia's activities related to the Sea Gate as harassment, has strengthened its ties with entities that have strained and frozen ties with Addis Ababa. During President Isaias' visit to Egypt in March last year, it was reported that he agreed that non-Red Sea countries should not participate in the security and management of the water body. It should be noted that the same stance was also reflected when Djibouti and Somali officials traveled to Egypt.